Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Grow Through It podcast. My name is Julia, and today I'll be talking all about healthy eating. I'll be covering meal planning, meal prepping, my favorite recipes, and what I recommend if you want lower calorie options. The first step in eating healthy is preparation. You can't expect to eat healthy consistently if you just wing it. There have been so many times when things have come up or I've gotten really busy, and the only reason I still ate healthy was because I had prepared my meals ahead of time or had backup plans. For example, just the other day I posted on my Instagram story how I forgot I had to pack a lunch for work one day because my schedule had changed, but I had backup meals in case something like this happened. I had the Flourish pancake mix in my cupboard and I made them in like 5 minutes to take to work. I will say when I'm doing 75 hard, I make sure I'm very prepared since I can't eat out. But in the past, when I wasn't doing the program and I wasn't planning very well, when things like this happened, I would have just eaten out instead or ordered food. So I plan all of my meals and snacks for the week ahead every single week. I personally use MyFitnessPal so I can track my calories and macros, but obviously you don't need to do this, and I don't do it all the time. When I plan my meals, I first think about what ingredients I already have in the house so I can make sure to use those. I don't want to be buying a ton of things each week because, as we know, groceries are quite expensive these days. So I try and use what I have on hand first. I then think about what other meals or snacks I want to have, and I enter all of this into MyFitnessPal app. From there, I make my grocery list. Typically, I usually eat the same breakfasts, lunches, and snacks, and I alternate between different dinners. So I usually know roughly what I can eat in a day, but if I'm trying a new recipe before I add it to my meals, I check what the nutritional info is for that recipe to make sure I can stay within my goals. I do go in phases with recipes as well. Like, I've been eating the same breakfast and lunch for months now, but I know eventually I'll get tired of it, I'll find something different, and then I'll eventually go back to it. You don't have to do this, of course, but I just find that it's most effective when it comes to calorie counting and budget-wise. If I'm constantly changing my breakfasts each day, that is a lot of extra ingredients I'd have to buy. I do alternate my snacks usually, though. I typically just alternate between a few snacks. I do change up my dinners, though, to add some variety. Since my schedule is a bit different and I typically work at 11 or 12, I always make my breakfast in the morning. When I have to work mornings, I'll meal prep a breakfast sandwich and put it in the air fryer in the morning, or meal prep overnight oats since it's super quick and easy. So for breakfast, I usually alternate between overnight oats, a breakfast sandwich with turkey sausage, pancakes, protein French toast, homemade guacamole, and an egg on gluten-free toast, and my current obsession, which is 2 rice cakes, 1 plain and 1 tomato one. The tomato one, I put lactose-free cottage cheese on it, half a slice of Violife cheese, a slice of turkey bacon, a drizzle of Frank's buffalo sauce, and an egg. On the plain one, I do half a tablespoon of sunflower butter, some strawberries or raspberries, and a couple Enjoy Life chocolate chips. It is the perfect blend of sweet and savory, and I am obsessed. Lately, though, I have been craving the guacamole on toast with an egg. I used to make this years ago, and it sounds kind of weird, but it's so good. It's basically just avocado toast, but I don't like plain avocado, so I make guacamole instead. So I may start doing this one again soon. My overnight oats recipe is 1/3 cup of oats, 2/3 cup of oat milk, 2 scoops of my vegan protein powder, half a tablespoon of sunflower butter, and I just mix that up and then top it with whatever fruit I have, usually raspberries, blueberries, or strawberries. Then I just eat it cold in the morning. Sometimes I also top that with granola. For the breakfast sandwich, I did a gluten-free or sourdough English muffin with an egg, turkey bacon, Violife cheese, and Frank's buffalo sauce. I wrap it in foil and just stick it in the fridge and air fry it in the morning. When I was making this, I would make 2 or 3 sandwiches at a time, so it was all prepped and it kept really well in the fridge. Then for my side, I did chicken or turkey sausages that I pre-cooked and just reheated in the air fryer with the sandwich. Protein French toast is just gluten-free or sourdough bread dipped in a mixture of an egg, a 1/4 cup to a 1/3 cup of egg whites, 1 to 2 scoops of protein powder, and a little bit of stevia, and a splash of oat milk. For my toppings, I would drizzle sunflower butter, a few Enjoy Life chocolate chips, whatever fruit I wanted, and a drizzle of maple syrup. Pancakes, I would do either homemade protein pancakes, which is basically the same mixture as the French toast, or sometimes I buy the Flourish pancake mix. I wish I could find a good protein pancake mix that was dairy and gluten-free, so if anyone knows of any in Canada, please let me know. I do prefer to make homemade ones so it can be gluten and dairy free and I can use my favorite protein powder, but sometimes it's just easier to just use a mix when I'm short on time. I actually also recently found these pre-made gluten and dairy-free waffles though that are really good and low calorie. I just find they don't fill me up quite as much. Lunch lately has been a chicken burger on an English muffin, but I've gone through other phases. There was a time where I had gluten-free crackers with lactose-free cheese, an egg, veggies with hummus, and made good balls. Sometimes I will have leftovers from dinner. Other times I'll make like a whole meal. For my chicken burger, I do a pre-cooked chicken burger just in the air fryer. I toast a sourdough English muffin, and my toppings are a pickle, lettuce, half a slice of Violife cheese, since it's dairy-free but still tastes pretty good. Then I top it with Dijon mustard. I would recommend if you have more time to barbecue a chicken breast instead, since it's much less processed, but lately I've been caring more about saving time. I kind of go in phases with this, which I will talk about later. Also, for lunches, sometimes I will make some of the things I mentioned for breakfast, like pancakes, French toast, etc. Dinners usually change. I cook a meal so it lasts 2 to 4 days so I don't have to cook every night, especially since I work most evenings. Some weeks I do the same meals, but I do like to switch up my dinners. Some of my favorite dinner recipes are buffalo chicken spaghetti squash, loaded taco bowl, teriyaki chicken thighs with roasted potatoes and vegetables. I used to make a Mediterranean bowl all the time, but I've had trouble finding a dairy-free, low-calorie version. Sometimes I get the Daiya pizzas. I really like the barbecue chicken one. I have this really yummy honey mustard chicken one-sheet pan, and I used to make a lot of stir fries, but I haven't been lately. Paul also sometimes makes me steak and potatoes as well. If you want any of the dinner recipes I mentioned, just send me a message on Instagram and I can send it to you. I get most of my recipes from TikTok, so definitely utilize that. I am trying to screenshot all the recipes before TikTok gets banned if that's still happening. Obviously, I can't really explain a whole recipe on here because these are a lot more complex than my breakfasts and lunches, but I do have screenshots or can send you the TikTok directly. Snacks usually consist of a protein shake or meal replacement shake. I found these dill pickle roasted fava beans that are so good. Sometimes a made good bar, and sometimes I make homemade protein bars. I do a yogurt bowl with lactose-free Greek yogurt, a little bit of stevia, a tablespoon of cacao powder with fruit on top, and sometimes I'll have fruit as a snack or vegetables. For the protein shake, I literally just mix 2 scoops or 1 serving with half a cup of oat milk and half a cup of water. Super simple and such an easy way to get extra protein and vitamins. Next, I want to talk about why I choose certain foods to eat. So what I've found from calorie counting is that rice is very high in calories. So I've switched from rice to potatoes because potatoes are actually really low in calories. I used to eat rice a lot, but I haven't been lately because of this. I also really wish I liked to eat fish products because they can be so good for you. But for meat, I usually stick to chicken or turkey, whether it's chicken breasts or thighs, or ground chicken or turkey. I will occasionally eat steak as well. When I was eating super high protein and focusing on weight loss and building muscle, I ate shrimp a lot too. I kind of get the ick from it now, unfortunately, because I learned what it is, but it's so high in protein, and I found a decent way to cook it where I think it tastes good, even though I'm not a fan of seafood. So if you like shrimp, just know that it's super high in protein. For vegetables, I usually have broccoli or carrots most often because I like those the best, but I've also been using spaghetti squash lately too. It doesn't feel like you're eating a vegetable, and it's pretty low in calories as well. Fruit, again, I usually stick with berries, especially strawberries or raspberries, but I also go in phases of having bananas too. Berries are quite low in calories, and I still feel like I'm eating a decent amount. When they're in season, I will also eat pineapple and watermelon. I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I also go in phases of whether I want to focus on calories, protein, or eating less additives and chemicals, although I don't have many foods like this. Sometimes I count calories, other times I eat more intuitively. It just depends what I'm focusing on at the time. I could be focusing more on weight loss or gaining muscle, and eventually I'll be in a maintenance mode. I've found it difficult to find a legit calculator to figure out how many calories you need. All of the ones I've tried told me for extreme weight loss to only have like 1100 calories a day, which is actually horrible. Women need at least 1200 calories a day just to survive. Not to mention, we need a bit more right before our period and on our period. So, figuring out how many calories you need and your macros can be a bit confusing. It depends on your age, height, current weight, and activity level. I personally have between 17 to 1800 calories a day, but I actually haven't changed this since the first time I did 75 hard when I was 20 pounds heavier and working out way more. That being said, it's still working for me right now, but if I wanted to lose weight a bit faster, I would probably lower it slightly to be 1600 to 1700. ChatGPT actually is the best resource I have found to calculate what you should be eating. I just typed in how many calories should I eat a day for moderate weight loss. I included my height, weight, age, gender, and activity level. It actually showed the whole formula of how it calculated it, and it estimated between 1600 to 1700 calories for me and said to ensure a balanced diet with adequate protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs to support your activity level. Adjust as needed based on progress. I feel like this was a really good answer, so I'd probably recommend using this. If you don't know what macros are, they are the macronutrients, which are protein, fats, and carbs. Micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals in your food. So since I want to lose weight and gain muscle, I want to prioritize protein as much as I can. Eating a higher protein diet is a game changer because the foods are so filling, you will actually feel satisfied. On social media, it's often said that you need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day, but there are studies that actually show 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day led to the same results as 1 gram. So I aim for around 120 grams of protein, but at minimum, I want 110. Again, I use MyFitnessPal and I do pay for the premium version so I can see the macros. I put in the amount of protein I want to eat and then base my carbs and fats off of that. So currently my carbs are sitting at 48%, protein at 27%, and fat at 25%, but this will depend on your goals and what works for you. I think next month I will be shifting a bit and lowering my calories slightly since I have lost weight and I'm not as active as I was before because of my injuries. Another thing to remember is not to be afraid of carbs. They are not bad for you. Carbs have 4 calories per gram, protein has 4 calories per gram, and fat has 9 calories per gram. So as long as you're staying in your calorie deficit if you want to lose weight, or whatever your maintenance or increase in weight goals are, then you're completely fine. Calories are calories at the end of the day. Now, obviously, you want to choose healthy options most of the time, but I promise you, carbs are not the enemy. If you restrict carbs too much, you may feel less energetic, you may have cravings, and you're probably more likely to turn to bad food because you're not satisfied. Fruits and veggies are carbs. Eating bread isn't unhealthy. Society has taught us so many misconceptions when it comes to nutrition. Whatever your goals are, just keep track of your calories, and if you want to look at macros, if you have more specific goals, then do that. So that was my little tangent on calories and macros. I also typically eat dairy and gluten-free for the most part, as these things do cause issues for me. I like to make sure I am being gut-friendly in my choices as well. Dairy and gluten both give me issues with my digestion and skin. I am also sensitive to peanut butter in particular, and almond butter has been known to give me acne breakouts. I used to love peanut butter, but I realized it hurt my stomach so bad. I actually didn't realize until I did a bit of an elimination diet and slowly added stuff back in, and peanut butter was one of my triggers. I didn't know it was an inflammatory food, but it is. I would get so bloated after eating it and I felt terrible. Paul is actually allergic to nuts though, so I don't have any nut products in the house anyways, so it kind of worked out. Although I do miss eating hazelnut flavored things. I also make sure to have coffee only after I've eaten breakfast. I usually drink it in the afternoon, and this has helped with my stomach a lot. If you didn't know, some common inflammatory foods are coffee, peanuts, gluten, dairy, alcohol, and sugar, but you may be sensitive to random foods you wouldn't even think of. If you notice you feel off most days, maybe try eliminating one thing at a time and see if anything changes. You may be surprised. So my biggest tips if you want to eat healthy is to plan what you're going to eat before you grocery shop. Track your calories if you want to, but I would recommend this if your goal is weight loss just to see where you're at. Have backup plans in case something comes up and find what you like. I genuinely enjoy all of the foods I eat. If I thought it was bland or didn't taste good, I would be much more likely to then turn to something not so good for me. I also think it's important to treat yourself occasionally. When I'm not doing 75 hard and when I go to a restaurant, I choose what I want to eat. Since I don't eat out very often, I feel okay to choose foods I know I wouldn't normally have. I will say, since DoorDash and Skip the Dishes became more popular, I definitely ordered food way more often than I would have if it weren't for those apps. But they waste so much money, and you're eating much higher calorie foods and more processed foods when you order from there. I think I will just delete the app so I'm not as tempted, but with 75 hard, I can't even use them anyways. I also recommend only buying things from the store that are healthy. If you buy chips and cookies and things that you know aren't super healthy, you will be much more likely to eat them. But if you keep them out of the house, you'll be less likely to turn to them. If you're really craving something and only do it occasionally, then you can just go out to the store and buy what you want when you want, but it won't be as easy for you because you actually have to make the effort to go out and get it. So if you actually want to put in that effort, then go for it. Often though, it'll change your mind so you will do it less often. But there is nothing wrong with treating yourself sometimes as long as it isn't all the time. So that is it for today's episode. I hope it can help make things a little easier for you and give you some inspiration to choose healthier options more often. If you have any questions about today's topic, feel free to message me on Instagram at growthroughit.pod. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be so grateful if you would rate and review this podcast and share it with someone you think would benefit from it. As always, thank you so much for listening, and remember that you are worthy. See you next time.